We're at 4525 Canoga Avenue in Woodland Hills, California, performing a video sewer inspection from the 4-inch mainline cleanout on the south side of the house. And right now we are in the city sewer, or excuse me, we are in the 6-inch lateral before the city sewer. And we have roots in this area. We cannot pass this area, and we are probably about 80% restricted, at least at that point. We're going to pull back, and at about 100 feet, we're at 105 feet now, 104 feet. At about 100 feet, we have another offset in the clay, in the 6-inch clay. Got an offset in that joint as well right there before the city sewer. And we have quite a bit of roots in that joint. That joint right there looks to be in pretty good condition. And we pull back, we had another joint that we had a hard time getting over. That's that one right there. As you can see, we're actually going up against the face of the pipe. It shifted probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches right there. That's probably what's causing the problem with the roots as well. That pipe is shifted, and more than likely the hub on the pipe is cracked, and that's how it shifts, is that hub cracks because of roots pushing up against it and such. That joint's offset a little bit, but not bad at all. We're pulling back up, and this is 6-inch vitreous clay. That joint looks to be in pretty good condition. That joint again is offset and separated. You can see you've got about 1 inch separation in between the two pieces of pipe, and it's also offset, probably about 1 inch to 1.25 inches right there, somewhere in that neighborhood. We've got another separation and an offset where you can see the gap at the top of the pipe on the left, and you see where you drop down into the pipe. You're dropping down into the pipe, so it shifted that much. That shifted again, 1 inch to 1.5 inches, somewhere in that area. That joint doesn't look too bad. It shifted just a little bit, but not bad.
Yeah.
Need to make sure water's shut off, because it's going to fill up. We're going to pause for just a moment. Yeah, see, it's filling up. It's stopped up. Okay, we're going to pull back. We have located another clean out at the front of the house. Back now. We've got a little offset in that piece of pipe, not much, right there. That joint doesn't look too bad. Looks fairly flush, and we're coming up now. Coming up the stack. And right here, at this point, we've got another offset, pretty large offset right there. Again. And we have another large offset right here. And it looks like it's a little bit of root intrusion in that joint. Not terrible. We got several off lateral. If we could get that lateral cleared, if we could hydrojet, we may be able to install a liner. That joint looks to be in pretty good shape. That's the way a joint should look, where it's pretty flush all the way around. And that joint's offset just a tiny bit, but not bad. And we got another joint that's separated and offset right there. It's got about an inch offset on that joint. A little bit of root intrusion now. This is where we start at the 4 to 6 inch transition. We start with our ABS plastic. We're going to locate this and mark this area. Okay, we're back. We've located this area where they put the mainline cleanout in and pulled the poly pipe. This is all plastic. We're going to pull back to where it started the poly pipe, and then we'll stop for a brief moment with that area as well. And that's another turn, and that was the turn. That's the branch line for the kitchen. We got some ABS in here. I'm just going to go back and looks like from here we're going to come back 40, probably about 36 feet.
Okay.
34 feet. About 34 will give us the 38 feet of poly from there.
Okay.
That they replaced. We know that this is poly. That I can tell. Tell by the joints that that's still poly pipe. And that's poly pipe. And that's where it stops right there. So we're going to go ahead and locate this area, because when we pull back just a little bit, you can see that's cast iron pipe.
Okay.
This is where they started. Marked out the area that.
they just did the video as well, but they charge me twice as much as they do for the guy that was 30.
We're gonna go back in for 1 minute.
You know, they both have clothes on.
We have the locator on, so it gets kind of fuzzy. So we're just gonna push back in again. And then we'll pull it back out. Show the poly. We'll short. Okay, here's our connection, which is clay. That's our clay to poly. We're getting hung up a little bit on that lip, on that poly.
No, it's a good thinking. No.
A little hard to see. We are having an issue with the poly right here. That joint wasn't put together real well. So when we push in a little bit, you can tell we're getting hung up on the gear because it is offset right here. Looks like there's a little bit of bleeding at the top. I'm going to stop. We're going to just mark this area real quick. That's out right out by the clean out. Okay, we've marked this area out in front of the house. By the carport area adjacent is where they first started pulling the pipe. Now we're going to pull back and show the condition. This area that we ran back into was just to show this piping and to mark out the other area of the poly transition of a good joint. This joint looks to be okay. It's a little rough. They didn't clean the joint up real well. A good joint. And that joint showing was actually by the tree. That was out by the main line clean out. And we flag in the ground. And that's where we have the offset in the joint. We're coming back, and this is where it starts the transition to the cast iron piping. The cast iron's a little bit rough. Probably piping more than likely, but still condition. All look to be good. There's no major holes, no root intrusions that we can see. Just have a little bit of buildup. And that can be hydrojetted at some point when the buildup gets heavy enough that it needs to be. Right now it's not in too bad a condition. Got a little bit of an off right here to the ABS cleanout. There's just a little bit, but it's not bad. I don't believe anything needs to be done at that point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pause for a moment and run through the mainline clean out at the front of the house.
The technology is stuff you can see.
Okay, we are now out in front of the property, and we are going to run the camera in the 4-inch mainline cleanout at the front of the property and try and get all the way into the city sewer if possible. We do have a large obstruction, but we're going to see if we can push past it. And we've also got an ABS section right here. From right here, very close to the front retaining wall, and then we start to drop. And you can see the large offsets in the 4-inch vitreous clay right here. And we have a very large offset. Still, at this point in time, it's lineable. You could install a liner in there as well. Holding a little bit of water right here, just a little bit of a belly in there at that point. We're making another drop, and we have the offset right here. And that pipe also appears to be cracked on the right-hand side a little bit from what we can see, the minor crack, but it's offset and shifted. Got another offset, another shift in it, but it's still lineable at this point. And we're making more turns and we're dropping pretty rapidly. That joint looks to be okay, and this is where we have an offset joint we're going to have to try and jump over. Okay, we got over that, and now we're going into where the roots are. Okay, we got through them. We got through that area, and we've actually released the water getting through it.
It's water.
Drain down for just a minute. City sewer right there. So we've got a lot of roots right here. Got a lot of roots at the city sewer saddle. We cannot lap this connection. We can't lap that connection. You got a lot of roots right there. Try and rinse the camera off again. We have a lot of roots at this joint. And we can't lap that one connection right there, because you have to tie right to that connection. Otherwise, we'll discuss it.
Okay.
We might be able to put what they call a top hat, where they come in from the city sewer and put a little, almost like a top hat piece, in from the back of the city sewer, coming upward.
So they come in, so here's the top part, and you slide it in like this,
right.
Correct?
It's just a short piece. It's about a 3-foot piece.
Okay.
So we have more roots in this joint as well, and that's the joint right behind it. So we have quite a bit of roots. That's pretty well compromised as well. So those are really the two worst joints down by the city sewer. Coming up. That joint looks to be in pretty good shape, and that one's offset quite a bit too. And that one's offset. And offset there, holding water right there. You got the offset right there a little bit, and down further there's a line right there as well. Pipe is just shifted, so you've got a dip in the pipe which is holding back water. And you have that large offset right there. And you have a large offset and separation right there. A little separation in that pipe, a little bit of an offset, not terrible there. A bit of separation and offset where they put that joint together at the poly pipe when they pulled the new poly pipe. Now we're coming back up out of the clean out, the mainline clean out. And this is the front entrance to the house. And that concludes